Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Strug, where everything is real, like life, like everything. It's a struggle, and that's why this is the Strug. My name is May, aka May B. I'm a tattoo artist, tattoo apprentice under the tattoo artist Chris Kerman, and this is my podcast where I talk about a multitude of things like art, like psychology, like life, literally any and everything that I want to talk about and that I feel like is relevant and important to me. Might not be important to you, but maybe you'll just get entertained by it. Today's podcast, I am going to go a little off the cuff, I guess you could say, because I don't really have any statistics or anything for this specific podcast, because this podcast is generating around the topic of why this generation, this new generation, my generation, and then the future generation that's coming up, being born, is getting soft or becoming soft. That's what I wanted to talk about today. A lot of things have just been really prevalent in my life that I wanted to discuss it and where I feel like my stance is on, because I'm someone I was born in 2003, if you didn't know. Yes, for all the old heads out there going to be like, oh my god, you're so young. Yes, I'm 19, I turned 20 years old this year, but I know I'm still young. And I guess I don't know what I'm considered. I think I'm considered Gen Z, like a millennial cuff of both. I don't really know the specifics, but I do fall under the category of this generation, and I do agree with the idea that this generation is becoming a lot softer, and I do not like it. And I think I just wanted to talk about why that's going to be damaging for the future and what I think that people need to focus on in their life going forward. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get started because I could ramble on before I even jump into it. So let's get into it. So, like, with my personal standpoint, like I said, I was born in 2003. Again, you could consider me millennial, Gen Z, in between. And I only say that the in between just because when I was growing up, I wasn't really around kids my age. Like, I really only hung around my sister's friends because I was with her 24/7, and she was born in 96. So I kind of identify, I guess, with that generation more. That's really because I was raised by a single mom, and me and my sister only had each other. So I really was with her 24/7 because she had to watch me. And because of that, I hung out with all her friends, and I kind of just adapted their ways of being. So I was, like 8 years old hanging out with like 16-year-olds, so that's kind of what my upbringing was. A little bit more into my upbringing, I think I mentioned it in my previous podcast when I talked about the military, but I come from a military background and also a single mother. Like, my mom was both. I guess to go on like the way she parented, she was never like a physical, like, she never hit us or beat us or anything, so I don't mean like that type of older generation, but my mom was definitely a very dominant woman, and her voice was enough for us when I was growing up. Like, her presence was enough to know what if you did something fucked up, you fucking knew, and you knew not to do it again. Because I had a single mom and she worked 24/7, I would really only see my mom like 2 hours every other day. Like, I barely saw my mom when I was growing up because she was working all the time. And when I did see her, if she was in a bad mood and pissed off, I definitely got it. I didn't grow up in like the softest environment you could. I guess that I feel like a lot of this generation does. So I didn't have that privilege of like being comfortable ever. I also moved around a lot when I was growing up. I think I also mentioned this in a previous podcast, but I went to like, I think it was between 12 and 14 different schools when I was growing up. And that's just because we were always from job to job with my mom, and she didn't have a choice. So I learned a lot with that, with moving around a lot. Because my mom was working 24/7, me and my sister had to, figure life out on our own. My mom did everything she could to provide for us, and I will always be in debt to her for that. But because of that, me and my sister had to figure out what was right and what was wrong without her there. Like, we had to figure out how to navigate the world and how fucking fucked up it could be and fend for ourselves because we didn't have anybody else. Whenever my sister wasn't around, I was by myself. Like, I was 8 years old walking around ghetto ass places, like neighborhoods and shit, just to go to the grocery store and shit. And that was my normal. Like, and I had to figure out how to keep myself safe. So I realized what life was at a very young age. Also, moving around a lot, that teaches you a lot about people. I was always moving in the middle of the year, so I would always have to learn a whole new fucking curriculum. I would always have to learn how to navigate my peers. Like, sometimes I would meet friends right off the jump, and then sometimes I wouldn't, and I would be a loner. But moving around a lot and constantly knowing I was gonna move made me realize a lot about people. It's okay to be a loner and to be by yourself, because I knew it wasn't going to be forever. I was like, if I didn't like the situation, I know it's going to end the next time I move and I have a whole new slate. Or it enlightened me to different types of personalities too, like with teachers and with students. What type of people I wanted to be around, what type of people live where, and also every situation is not forever. Just because I knew that whatever I was going through at the time was going to be over the second I moved to a different school or a different state. And I think that prepared me for a lot about life. It also showed me that a lot of the relationships you're going to have in your life are not forever. And the people that you meet, that you do keep in your life for a really long time, are the ones that matter the most. Like, out of all the places I've lived, I only have one person other than my sister and my mom who I've talked to since I moved, and her name's Kayla. She's my best friend, and even me and her don't talk every day, but I definitely consider her family. And I met her in 8th grade, but I moved around a bunch after that, and she still kept in contact with me, so that really showed me how much she cared about me. With all the other relationships I had, I knew that, like, you might have a friend right now, but that's not going to last forever, because the second I moved, it was gone. Which I had to learn very fast, that that's just a part of life. Like, I learned that very strongly, I'd say, in like elementary school, just because it was my reality. But I think that prepared me just about situations in general. So I feel like I was very blessed to experience that, even though I didn't feel that way at the time. Moving around a lot in all different types of economical areas also showed me a lot about people too. There's fucked up people everywhere. There's lazy people everywhere. Doesn't matter what type of school you go to, doesn't matter what type of neighborhood you live in, there's going to be amazing people and there's going to be fucked up people in every fucking scenario. I would see, when I lived in like the hood and I went to really ghetto fucking schools, I saw people who didn't give a fuck about their life and they just stayed there and they accepted where they were at. And I saw people working hard as fuck, grinding, trying to get out of a impoverished situation. And then when I would live in the rich area of places, I would see people who were living on debt because they knew that they had the fallback. And then I saw people working really hard to uphold their legacy and to prove to their family that they could do it. So I've met amazing people on both sides. I've met horrible fucking people on both sides. And in my opinion, lazy is lazy. It doesn't matter where you live. There's going to be lazy people. Just, it's going to look different. You might see somebody in the hood and they're just, selling drugs, or they're just not giving a fuck about their life and they don't try. But you'll see that same shit in a rich scenario where they know that their family has got them and they don't have to try it all in life. To me, it's the same fucking thing. Areas of life I realized really quickly, and at a very young age, and I'm very thankful that I did, just because I don't think a lot of the people, and the main reason I made this episode today is just because I feel like a lot of the people in my generation do not realize a lot about life and a lot of the harsh realities that we have to fucking face. The priorities are so screwed up nowadays that it's just gonna fuck them right in the end. If you think that the world is peaches and rainbows and you treat it as such and you don't prepare yourself for the fucked up things that are going to happen to you. I don't want to take everything away from this generation. In some ways, they're the smartest, and in some ways, they're the fucking dumbest. The ways I feel like this generation is smart is that a lot of the people in my generation and the ones that are going to be the future generation, they are way more against putting up bullshit with companies and the government because they know that they have a choice. Back in the day, the generations didn't know or they didn't actually have a fucking choice in what job they worked, what they could say and couldn't say, what beliefs they could have. They didn't have that. And I think that this generation has been the most selfish when it comes to choosing their own life. What I feel like is going to happen, it's going to lean too far into that. People are going to become way too fucking selfish with their life, and then the whole society is going to get fucked up because of it. Because nowadays, the generation is smart in the sense that you don't have to go to college to get a good career. You can, because of the media, you could be a full entrepreneur, run your own business, be your own boss, make your own money, doing literally any fucking thing nowadays, which is beautiful and it's amazing. Because you don't have to work for a fucked up company just to make minimum wage. You could be a gamer, you could be a TikToker, you could be anything like that and make a lot of fucking money over somebody who is working at a Walmart because that's all they got. Like, there's way more options nowadays and you can be more selfish. The reason I feel like that's going to backfire and the reason I think this generation is going to become too fucking selfish is because nobody's going to want to work the jobs that are needed for society. Like, nobody's going to want to be a police officer. Nobody's going to want to be a firefighter. Nobody's going to want to be a banker. These jobs that society needs, people are not right now, I would say, but it's going to get to a point to where nobody's going to want to do the jobs that are required. And because everybody wants to do a job that thinks sounds cool and is selfish to them, like be a TikToker instead of being a firefighter. I think it's going to get to a point where everybody's going to have that mentality and it's going to be fucked up in the future. I think this generation has also gone so hard in the paint when it comes to emotions that it's going to be fucked up in the future. Like I said, in the past, nobody was focusing on people's emotions and their mental state. And that's why so many people were working their asses off literally to death, working themselves to death because they didn't have a choice and they weren't allowed to have emotions. Nowadays, I feel like people hyperfixate on their emotions and it's making people so fucking soft and so scared of life, like scared to hurt somebody's feelings. When you're in this life, your feelings are going to get hurt. Your ego is going to be bruised. You are going to have people say fucked up shit to you. And it's what you do with that is what matters. Bad shit is going to happen no matter what. So it's preparing yourself for it and growing a thick fucking skin that's gonna get you through life. People, especially in this generation, we all want a happy, peaceful society. You know, people want to be respected. People want to be, talked to in the right way, which is valid. It should be like that. But at the end of the day, you cannot prepare your kids for that. Yes, this world should be beautiful and it should be full of peace. But at the end of the day, it's not. You need to spread love, but be prepared for hate. You need to spread positivity, but be prepared for violence because it's going to fucking happen. You cannot walk through life. One, your opinions or your emotions are the only ones that are valid, and expect everybody to treat you like that because you're going to encounter a motherfucker who thinks you're a fucking piece of shit, not worth anything. But you should just know in your head that you are capable and you can do it. It doesn't matter what anybody fucking says to you. It doesn't matter if somebody calls you the wrong fucking thing. It doesn't matter if somebody says anything to you, a fucking slur. Yes, it's fucked up. One, there are always going to be people who do that because it's a worldwide fucking issue. Yes, it might be solved in one area, but if you go to the next fucking country, you'll probably still encounter it. So you know what? You have to grow a thick fucking skin and know in your heart that you are more than that, you're worth than that, and just fucking trudge. Get past it. And I'm sorry if I'm wrong for saying that, but you just have to buck the fuck up and know that that is not you. Whatever people call you, whatever people say, it doesn't matter. An example that I found, actually I do have a kind of a statistic. I said that I didn't, but I was watching a podcast or listening to a podcast. One of my favorite military guys is a guy named Nico Ortiz, and I love that man. He's so fucking funny. He was in the army, and he was talking about, I guess, an issue that the Marines is having is that they are having a discussion about whether to get rid of calling soldiers in the military ma'am and sir because people don't want to be misgendered. This is where I feel like, again, people are getting they have so much, I don't even know how to word it. They're focusing so much on people's emotions and trying to baby them when that is not the fucking thing that is going to get them through life. On one side of that, and he brought this up too, when you're in the military, they're like saying you should only call them by their last name, like Lieutenant Betancourt, like me. One thing with that is it is a respect thing, and you need to earn getting being called that in the military. Like, you don't just get most time called your last name. Like, that's something you have to earn to receive. So it is just ma'am or sir. At the end of the day, the military sees a soldier as a soldier. Yes, there is a lot of sexism in the military, and that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about just calling somebody ma'am or sir. First of all, I don't understand why you would give that much of a fuck about what somebody calls you. I don't care. You could call me anything and I would not give a shit. In the military, you are supposed to be just a soldier. If anything, they'll just call you, hey, piece of shit, come here. Hey, dumbass, come here. It doesn't matter what, they don't care what word they use. So the fact that that's even being a discussion is so fucking stupid to me. And I understand, people on the other side are like, oh, I identify as this, I identify as that. That is fine. You can identify with however you want, but one, don't expect everybody to abide by that. The world does not work like that, and the world does not revolve around you and your emotions. If somebody calls you the wrong thing, and you tell them, hey, that's not what I go by, and they say, okay, and they they keep doing it, or even if they don't keep doing it, who fucking cares? Say, fuck you, move on, and that's it. Don't try to fight it for something that doesn't even, it's not a pressing issue. Worry about bettering yourself. Worry about, if you're in the military, worry about your fucking job. Worry about making yourself stronger. Worry about war. Worry about bigger issues than something so little as that. And if you go to other places in the world, what you might think is okay is not okay over there. Here, they're trying to start this whole shit with the gendering, misgendering. Are you saying this isn't my gender? Are you assuming my gender bullshit? It's just human shit. If you see somebody in the street and you think if you think somebody is one way, you're just going off your instinct. And if you're wrong, you're oh shit, my bad. But don't penalize people for that. And then the whole thing with the ma'am or sir shit is if you saw somebody who looked like a man here, somebody's gonna come at you saying you assume my gender, right? And that's fucked up. But if you go to a different part of the world and you see somebody who looks like a man and you don't call them a man right off the jump, they could easily be pissed off and be like, you didn't say I was a man. You're not addressing me as a man when I'm a masculine being. That's fucked up. So this is what I'm saying. Everywhere is different. People have different opinions, different views, different beliefs, and you just need to respect that. And if somebody doesn't respect yours, who fucking cares? The thing that people in my generation, in America specifically, don't realize is how privileged they are in being able to think these things. People who are young in this generation don't realize they have so much luxury, and I think that people in America assume that privilege only comes with race, and that is not fucking true. People in America have the ability to think whatever they want, and yeah, you might get canceled for it or whatever, at the end of the day, you still get to fully believe and fully spew out whatever the fuck you want, and nobody can really say shit. In so many other countries, that is not a thing. You can't say, oh, this is my gender, you misgendered me. They will legit beat you for saying some shit like that. People who are fighting it so hard in America, once they go over to those countries and they try to pull that shit, they're gonna realize how soft they are. They're gonna realize, oh fuck, somebody's about to beat my ass. I don't know how to prepare for that. And it's gonna be fucked. And we're focusing on little fucking shit when we should be focusing on bigger issues. Or if you don't want to focus on bigger issues, just focus on yourself and focus on how to know in your heart that whatever you believe is what you believe, and nobody can tell you shit. And something I also feel like this generation is lacking is just mental and physical strength overall. One thing that I will say, I'll bring up like gun laws for a little bit. Whatever you believe is what you believe. You can believe that America shouldn't allow guns or it should not. I don't really care either way. That's just my belief. Like I said, you can fully disagree with me. I honestly don't give a fuck. But I think that if you want to learn how to use one to protect yourself or defend somebody else, you should. And I honestly feel like that should be a requirement. I think that schools nowadays are so, America specifically, we don't advise our kids enough how to fulfill and be successful and safe in life literally at all. We give them paperwork that is bullshit. We fill their time up with shit that is not going to do them any good when we could be training them how to defend themselves, how to fight back, physical things that will help them in life if they're ever in a situation where they're going to need it, because they are going to face that shit one way or another in a moment of their life. I think that we should teach, and this is just my belief, like I said, to teach everybody how to use whatever weapon you decide, because you never know when you are going to need that shit. People are so focused on emotions that they don't realize how lucky they are to even have that thought. So much of this world is violent. I'm not saying that I'm endorsing violence, but I think that you should be prepared for it at any moment in time. It could pop off anywhere, and you're not gonna know what the fuck to do because you were bullshitting and wasting your time trying to fight something that, when you're in a real scenario of real life shit, like God forbid you get taken as a hostage, God forbid someone tries to, abduct you, or you're in a different country and somebody tries to fucking kill you for being there. You're not gonna know what the fuck to do because you were worried back home about somebody calling you ma'am or sir. I don't know if that's fucked up to say. I don't really care. I just feel like we need to prepare everybody for any scenario, because you are going to need it. Be positive to people. Spread love. Do all of that. I'm somebody who, 100%, I will never treat anybody fucked up. I'm a very positive person. But trust and believe that I want to learn all that shit. Because if I'm ever in a situation where I'm, in a dangerous environment, I want to know how the fuck to get out of it. There's people who want to hurt you in this life, and you have to be prepared for that. Another thing that is very prominent in this generation is just cancel culture in general. I feel like so many people get canceled for the dumbest shit, and it ruins their lives for a good amount of time. Especially when it's people who are like everyday people getting blasted on social media for something that they did or something that they said that is, in actuality, who gives a fuck? We're focusing on this little baby bullshit when there's actual things that you can just worry about bettering yourself. Focusing on what a celebrity said or what somebody did at a restaurant or anything like that, or anything that's so, who gives a fuck? I don't understand why so many people are so fixated on other people's actions when it doesn't do anything to you. Who cares? Or if it does do something to you, I don't know, really, just buck the fuck up and move on. I don't understand why that's so hard for people to understand. And I guess the reason I am very passionate about this right now is just because I've been watching a lot of military stuff, and I love it. Like I said, I was raised in it. I just have a very different belief in life, I guess, about a lot of the people I see on social media. Worrying about what people think of you when it doesn't matter. This generation is so quick to say they don't give a fuck what people think, but to me, they're the ones that care the most because they are so quick to pull out their phones and post things to make them famous or whatever when that shit does not matter. It's one thing to use social media as a tool to up your business, to get your name out there because you want to progress your areas in life, but to post dumb shit for views, that means you give a fuck about what people think. I don't understand why people do so much. Anyway, that was my podcast for today. I'm sorry it was kind of a rant. I just really wanted to bring it up, talk about things that I feel like are important. Be strong. We need to be strong in this life because it's not going to get any easier. And you just need to learn how to handle it, how to defend yourself, how to not engage in violence or promote it, but be prepared for it in all areas, both mentally and physically. That is the only way you're going to be able to get through this life. Whatever opinions you have, you are entitled to, and you can vocalize them, but know when and where to do that. And if somebody doesn't agree with you, fuck them and move on. And be prepared for literally any and everything in life. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to follow me on Instagram, my Instagram is at MAABETANCOURT. May Betancourt, TikTok, YouTube. What's up, YouTube? Thank you for listening. If you want to follow Chris Garman, he's an amazing dude. Chris Garman Instagram, How to Tattoo Instagram, Stencilnator Instagram, a bunch of many other things. This has been The Strug. Life is a fucking struggle. Learn how to deal with that shit and grab it by the cojones and kill it.
Oh, thank you.